In 2014, the BC government agreed to a water management plan that allowed Teck Coal Limited to expand its coal operations despite concerns expressed in both BC and the United States that the Elk Valley watershed was being poisoned by selenium and calcite releases. Initially, the Minister of Environment denied a permit for the expansion, which extended into the West Slope cutthroat trout habitat, a species listed under the Federal Species at Risk Act, but Cabinet approved it anyway. Then Minister of Energy and Mines sold the plan as a way to keep Teck profitable while also solving the pollution problem. 2 years later, Auditor General Bellringer said the government had ignored risks to the watershed and was failing to protect BC from rising selenium levels. Last week, in its third quarter news release, Teck Coal Limited boasts $1.3 billion in profits. It also makes passing references to possible pending charges under the Federal Fisheries Act in connection with discharges of selenium and calcite from coal mines in the Elk Valley. Through you, Honourable Speaker, to the Minister of Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources, it looks like the company has indeed been able to continue making money, but the potential federal charges indicate pollution of the watershed remains an ongoing issue. The poisoning of the Elk Valley and Koocanusa Reservoir is now happening under her watch. What is this government doing about it?
Minister, Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for this very important question. And just a year ago, actually, I was touring the Line Creek operations in the Elk Valley, and part of that tour, Honourable Speaker, included a tour of the Line Creek Active Water Treatment Facility, which is the treatment facility to address this very issue that the member brought up about the selenium pollution that is going on in the Elk Valley. What the member may not know is that BC is actually leading the world in terms of trying to address this problem. Not a lot of other jurisdictions in the world are taking selenium pollution as seriously as we are. That being said, it's proving to be a lot more difficult than we anticipated, and we're learning a lot as we go along. And as we go along, we continue to work collaboratively with the Ktunaxa Nation, with Teck, and with the community at large, because, of course, this watershed is critically important to those of us who live in the Kootenays, and we want to make sure that it's protected and that our pollution numbers are being reduced and that we're going to be able to meet that Elk Valley water quality plan and make sure that we're meeting its targets.
House Leader, third party on a supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It would appear that the federal fisheries are concerned about the ongoing pollution, so maybe the treatment plant isn't working as hoped. To quote further from Auditor General Bellringer's 2016 report on the mining sector, quote, lack of sufficient and effective regulatory oversight and action by Ministry of Environment to address the environmental issues has allowed degradation of the water quality in the Elk Valley. Coal mining, which has been underway in the area for 100 years, has resulted in high concentrations of selenium in the water system. As selenium accumulates up the food chain, it can affect the development and survival of birds and fish, and may also pose health risks to humans. For 20 years, the Ministry of Environment has been monitoring the selenium levels in the Elk Valley and noted dramatic annual increases of the chemical element of the watershed's tributaries. MOE tracked this worsening trend but took no substantive actions. My questions for you, Honourable Speaker, to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy. Mining activities and ongoing resource extraction will continue to impact the environment far into the future. How and when can we expect to see concrete action to protect BC's polluted rivers and the fish that rely on them for their survival?
Minister of the Environment and Climate Change Strategy.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question, because the member, like all British Columbians, care about what happens to our land, our air and our water, and takes the pollution of water and the impacts on fish and other wildlife very seriously. And so does this new government, Honourable Speaker. Let me say, first of all, that with respect to selenium levels from Elk Valley, in the past 4 years, Teck has paid over $600,000 in fines for environmental violations. Teck has worked with our government and the Ktunaxa Nation Council to implement an Elk Valley water quality plan, which includes the construction of water treatment plants, including the one that my colleague has referred to. We have dedicated staff in the East Kootenays overseeing Teck's operations and a compliance plan to ensure that we are doing due diligence, including inspection frequency and audit sampling. We're conducting regular compliance verification inspections, on-site inspections, and data reviews, and we'll continue to monitor the Elk Valley to make sure the rules are followed, as well as the ongoing Environment Canada investigation and the Conservation Officer Service investigation. Honourable Speaker, the West Line Creek Active Water Treatment Facility, following a shutdown by Teck, began a recommissioning on August 30th under the auspices of the Ministry and in accordance with our conditions. We expect it to be fully online by December 28th and expect a reduction in selenium levels in fish prior to the spawning season.